Hello, guys, and welcome back to Joe's Ventures. And today we're doing another episode of our Planet Zoo kind of feature focusts. So we're focusing on some really cool features that are becoming, of course, to Planet Zoo 2. And, one of the ones everyone's been asking for is aquatics and stuff like that. And I'm actually kind of impressed with how much detail they've actually gone into this. And I've still got some questions, and I think we all have some similar questions, but I thought I would give my own opinion on this as someone who's worked in an aquarium, has worked with animals and stuff like that, and just kind of go through and have a look and give my opinions on it. So I'm very excited to get stuck into this one. So we're just going to run through it first like we always do, and then we're going to go and have a look through the, and go stop and change and stuff like that. So I'm really excited to get stuck into this one.
Welcome back. Today, we're submerging ourselves in the world of aquariums, looking at how to build these stunning underwater habitats and the unique life that can be found under the surface. Right, let's dive straight in. Our aquariums follow a really similar construction process to our terrestrial habitats, so it won't take long before you've got the hang of building them. Plus, you'll have access to our blueprints, making things even quicker and easier. With our glass tunnels, you can create spectacular views for your guests. It's just like being inside the aquarium. But that's a job we leave to our staff. Our team of experts need an aquarium staff gate to carry out their tasks, allowing our vets to check on the animals and keepers to top up the food. We've got several different types of feeders, so what you'll need depends on who you're feeding. You'll be able to introduce a whole range of aquatic species to your zoos, from turtles to rays and all kinds of fish. We even have sharks. But be aware, not all of our aquatic animals can be mixed. You'll be caring for marine, freshwater, and brackish species, so be sure to set up the appropriate water filtration. This system will also help keep your aquariums clean, along with our diligent keepers, of course. Speaking of diligent staff, here comes the caretaker now with our new red lionfish, Inda. Isn't she gorgeous? But our aquarium, on the other hand, let's get creative. Just watch your aquatic life thrive and grow. Even the population of your shoals will increase, and if your freshwater aquarium gets a little too full, you can release some of your shoals to the lakes in our wildlife reserves. Here's our African tigerfish that we released to the same reserve as our zebra, helping to establish wonderfully diverse ecosystems. Next time, we'll be moving above ground and looking up. Until then, see you soon, zookeepers.
Look at that. Very, very cool. All right. So we're going to have a little cut through. So yeah, you can see how beautiful that absolutely looks. So let me see if I can sneak it right in. Let's go. They look beautiful. I really love how they did the water. I'm just so impressed with the aquatics in general. And look at that aquarium. That looks like something you'd literally get in real life. Like if you went to some really big aquarium, like in America or something, or in Japan. It literally just looks like a perfect coral reef aquarium. So I am so excited to get this in game. And you can see we've got the hump-head wrasse, or the moldy wrasse. Also got, your spotted eagle rays and the mola. Some other small fish you can see there as well. Oh, I'll actually turn those off as well. I didn't want to have her speaking. Yeah, very, very cool, very beautiful. Let's carry on. Really love all this decal. Really fits like perfectly with typical modern aquarium aesthetics. Like if you look at something like from Sea Life, those sort of aquariums, this fits right in with all the different. And I love the lighting and stuff. It's just perfect. And you can see all these really cool decals. You can see there's bits of kelp and stuff like that, and all sorts of corals. Hope the corals, because corals are technically animals. I know they're probably going to be treated as decorations, but I think it'd be cool to have some management to corals, because they are still animals. Hopefully, I kind of hope they're not just treated as a decoration, but they probably are. It's a nice to have, not a need to have. I just think, like, Meg Aquarium, they do a pretty good job with making them actually seem like animals, and when I've had to manage aquariums, you've got to always worry about the calcium in the water so they can build their skeletons and all different parameters and stuff like that for anemones and uh, corals and stuff like that. But yeah, really, as I mentioned, aesthetics perfect. This looks like something straight out of a Georgia aquarium or any sea life aquarium. And we also got these really long, tall tanks here. Uh, I think they're either bubbles or jellyfish. I guess that they're probably bubbles, but I mean, jellyfish would be so cool in this game. I would love to have like a special exhibit with like a kestrel tank, so you can have them because aquarium I used to work at, we had a couple of them, and we used to go through the life cycle of a jellyfish and all that. And I thought that was really cool. It'd be cool to have that. And they actually recently, just soon after I left for my full time job here at my zoo, um, they had updated everything in there, and it's real beautiful colors and everything. So very very excited. And to see if that comes in the game. And what's really cool as well, these decals here, I just noticed them over here too. So I love these little portal things. It's not just these little big, big panels and stuff. I love these. I hope we can use them in habitats because then it'd be really cool to get little like peephole into habitats as well. Instead of just having something that's kind of big and square, you can have some round and funny shapes. So I think that's quite cool. Yeah, so it's pretty much as I mentioned, decal spot on. Oh, that's a black tip reef shark. Look how beautiful that looks. And you can see here, this is actually one I was really happy about because a lot of these shoaling fish that they make, they've kind of divided the two fish into hero and shoal species. So hero species would be ones that are individual like this, like the black-tip reed shark, the mola, hawksbill sea turtle. Those are animals that are like full standalone animals that you're typically familiar with in Planet Zoo. And then they've got the shoaling fish, because obviously having thousands of fish in an aquarium is going to do a number on your hardware. They've decided to kind of slim those back a bit. And I'm glad they're not just shoals. But you can see these guys can hang out by themselves, It's really nice to see that, just a singular blue tang, because blue tangs are not the type of fish that live in mesh of shoals like a lot of these other fish. And they've got the sardines as well. Those are the perfect examples of that. But you'll find a couple hanging around the coral reef, maybe if you're next to each other, but they're not typical shoaling fish. So it's cool that we get a bit of both in that regard. So I'm very excited to see that. So it looks really really cool. And I've got to say, I'm going to talk about this soon, but really really cool what's coming up. So this is the feature focus, as we talked about. So this is building the aquarium. So I'm really happy with how this came out. Literally pretty much the same as just building in Planet Zoo. Just instead of literally the same, you can make it all the funky shapes you want. There's also the customization, the curved barrier straight. I guess that's a lid. My guess is you can put a lid on that, and I don't know what that means, but my guess is that's a lid, or you can change it up and down, and then that's my guess. Because I think it'd be cool to put. I've heard some things you see the indoor, so maybe you make a choice to put it in indoor and outdoor. So that'd be quite interesting as well. I guess the door. That's the door, and maybe we'll get into that soon. But yeah, it looks pretty much standard as you would make for a typical enclosure, which is quite good. You just drag it up and down. The length and all that, and pretty similar. And then you get that, and you can go one-way glass, very similar to rest of your habitats, very much the same as Planet Zoo 1. And then this has got this here. This looks like a blueprint. So this is a blueprint for it. And you can see it's pretty much just now filled up itself like a normal aquarium. My question is, you can see all these blueprints. My question is, does this blueprint... some of these look like they were actually look really nice. I'm very curious to see if some of these blueprints, like this one here, so you can see that one's got a little bit of land in it, but does it actually function on land? Because we'll get into it, but I've got some more questions about how this will integrate with animals like, hawksbills, because they do come onto land, obviously, to lay eggs. Or maybe even animals more like hippos and crocodiles and sea otters and, otters and other semi-aquatic animals, and how they will, and crocodiles and gharials and all that, and how that'll fit and what mixing can they do. So we'll see, we'll carry on. And what's really cool, I love this so much. I know zoo people have been wanting this for years. I remember wanting this so bad in Zoo Tycoon 2 when I was a kid. Now wanting it, in Planet Zoo 1, and also, of course, Jurassic World Evolution. 2 and 3. We've finally got it in Planet Zoo. We've got actual underwater tunnels and stuff like that. And a little bit of history. The aquarium I worked at, we were actually the first to design this system. The guy who owned it, he basically came up with a way to kind of twist the glass acrylic and basically create the tunnel, and everyone's copied it since. So it originated in little old New Zealand. So I think that's a really cool bit of history. So covering this, and I'm so excited to actually see this in the game. So you can see, points it out, and we know the pathing tools have been greatly improved. So you can see just connected like that. Simple. Literally the easiest system in the world. That's what we're so happy to see. Literally the easiest thing in the world. And then you can see people are walking through it. It works perfectly functional, perfectly fine. And I've got to say, I am so impressed. And then we've got all these guys walking in, beautiful view. And then we've got the hawksbill sea turtle there. Looks like some sort of enrichment there. Looks like some buoy. Something to scratch on. Not sure exactly what type of enrichment, but you can see all these corals, the brain corals and stuff like that. Looks really, really great. And then you can see this is the keeper in there swimming around, in the scuba gear. I like to see all the fish. They actually really nailed the fish. I think they nailed it in terms of the shoaling. And they feel nearly naturalistic and, really fills up an aquarium, because the thing is with, games like not Planet, Zoo Tycoon 2, when we had these, all your aquariums felt very empty because you just had these big animals, but the shoals are really what make it dynamic and interesting and make it look like a realistic aquarium. So very, very cool. Like to see all these little fossils there. You can see all the ammonites in there, some more blue tangs, some yellow tangs looks like over there. Then we've got some sardines and some schooling bannerfish and all that. And you can see, yeah, perfect. And you can see the tunnel actually goes on a lean as well, so you can have a little bit mixed up terrain, not just flat. You can have it go up and down and left and right and all that, so that's going to be just perfect. And looks like this is the top, so this has got a top on it, so you can put tops on your aquariums, so you can have outdoor and indoor aquariums. So that makes it a lot more realistic, because that was one thing that also annoyed me with what was it? That also annoyed me with Zoo Tycoon 2 as well, is that you couldn't put the tops on them, because, imagine having a big aquarium that you really focus on trying to keep the, salt water, all that in, especially when it's tropical animals and you're in a cool climate. That just seems impossible. But one thing I also want to go back to, I've actually forgot to mention. I know some people have been mentioning it. I think I missed it here. But we do have a new animal, so it's just back through here. It's teased. You can see that silhouette there. Very much looks like a shark. My guess is everyone's guessing zebra shark, but yeah, I think that's a pretty good exception. A pretty good guess on that, or something like it. What I find quite funny is that zebra sharks, a lot of people think, well, why they look like leopards? They should be leopard sharks, but leopard sharks are a different thing. Zebra sharks, when they're young, they actually have they have very much black and white bands like a zebra. So they're not named for their adult colours, it's for their juvenile colours. So that's quite fun as well. And I'm going to say I'm very impressed with this. In general, all of this is very impressive. Let's go back. Yeah, this is. I love that we can put indoor, and I think that really helps as well. The only issue I think is I would like to have potentially like a raised roof a little bit, because often in aquariums, they might have someone. It might be more at the top, and then they go in and service it. Which is a little bit more unrealistic, but I guess it kind of works. I guess you could just make your own in this case, but yeah, it's just we don't know that much, so maybe there are other options and stuff like that. So she's just having a swim, doing a grand old time, doing the sucky jobs, as you can tell. Very, very cool. And then here we've got, this was noticed trainees, so there might be some more management. I know people have been begging for more management, so it looks like we might have to train keepers up. Very cool thing. That is an aspect of zookeeping. You got to train people up, because it is a specialist field. You got to train people up. It's very hard to get experience with animals in a zoo, because, there not many people have them. So if you want to become a zookeeper, you have to start off, like, you can work with, obviously, animals like farming and pets and stuff like that. But if you want to work with exotic animals in zoos, pretty much you got to start from scratch. Just got to start from scratch. There we got that going on there. She's walking in, and you can see she does her twist. So she looks like And then she's in there, look at that. So she's walking in. So this looks like just like a little airlock thing. I actually kind of wish that the games had like a proper airlock thing as well for the normal, because I know very few zoo enclosures that just have the one door, because, that's just begging for an animal to escape. You can make them yourselves, but I hope you can have that multiple exhibits. It's just easier for management in the game, but I like that for realism. Pretty much every enclosure at my zoo, not all of them, but most of them have some sort of um, airlock or standoff airlock, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the same name, different names for the same thing. But yeah, very, very cool. And you can see she's in there having a look at the molars. Look at those beautiful corals, man, the seagrasses and all that. I am just so impressed. They've really nailed these. If Prehistoric Kingdom could do this, I really hope they can. I really hope they could do something like this. Jurassic World Evolution. Honestly, I'm happy with how they are. I think they just need to add more decorations, add some different depths, and add the tunnels. And I'd be happy with the Jurassic World Evolution, designs for the aquariums. So yeah, I'm very excited to get stuck into that one. So let's keep on keeping on. And you can see that person there is, yeah, doing some stuff. Here we're seeing some of the enrichment and some of the new things, obviously, because it's a whole new system. They have to really develop it out. And look, we can see exhibits down there, their own things. So we're definitely getting some new updates to the exhibits. I just want them, which I'm also quite excited about. So this is a veggie mat feeder, even though it does have seafood on it. As I don't mean seafood as in seeing food and eating it, but all these on there. Perfect for those sort of bottom feeding animals. Hawksbill sea turtle's a great example. Just thinking what other be great examples. Hawksbill sea turtle manatees is another good example. Sea otters would probably come to that as well. When I was at Kelly Telson's, where I worked, we had pipes in there, and we could put them down, and then the fish or the lettuce, whatever it was, for our turtles at the time, because we took and rolled rescue turtles. Well, still do technically, but they would come. You could forage from the ground there, and they did that with dugongs. When I remember going to the aquarium in Sydney, so stuff like that, really cool. It was really cool, cute little babies as always. But it's cool that it's just resting on the ground. I really hope we get a lot of those animals like hippos and crocodiles will sit in the water like that. I think that'll just add a lot more realism to them. So the animals have definitely been updated quite a bit in that regard too. Beautiful model, just beautiful, beautiful. I'm just no complaints so far. No complaints. I'm very impressed with how everything's going. I just have questions. That's my question. Pretty much. So just keep on keeping on, having a feed. Let's actually keep on. Watch it having a feed. Very cute. There we go. So there's a eagle ray there, some sardines, and all that's going on. Playing with the enrichment, so that's definitely some sort of enrichment. We're definitely getting some marine enrichment. And this is another aquarium. So they explained there's actually 3 different types of water. So saltwater, freshwater, and brackish. So brackish is kind of the middle, like estuaries and river mouths and stuff like that. It's a bit of a mix. I kind of wish they would go a little bit more in depth, because I think it'd be cool to try and manage animals with different pH levels. And yes, that is something with smaller fish, especially in small aquariums. Large aquariums, it's not so much an issue because it's just so large. They're a lot more stable. But yeah, that's the thing. These large aquariums, small fish aquariums, you have to be a lot more hard on that, because those parameters change a lot quicker because there's more water volume. That means it's a lot harder for it to, it stays a lot more stable. The bigger the water body, the more stable it is in terms of aquariums as a general rule. So having large aquariums means you just got to control, like just have seawater and stuff like that, or just a large amount of water that's filtered. But smaller aquariums, you have to get more into the nitty gritty, but you still have to measure the parameters, make sure everything's okay. But yeah, this is an example of freshwater aquarium. So this is African tigerfish, these guys here, and you can see these small ones here. I think they're the blunt-head cichlids that were mentioned in a previous little small cichlids, little Malawi cichlids. So very, very cool animals. I'm very, very proud of that, and it's nice to get to see it. I could definitely see some beautiful. I could see a South American pack in the future with all sorts of different, like arapimas and the giant, like the Amazon pack, and manatees, and the giant stingrays, and all those really cool animals. Even the river dolphins, I could totally see an Amazon pack that would fit perfectly with this and really expand the freshwater. Um, so yeah, really really cool. And that's what they kind of mentioned. You get saltwater, brackish, and freshwater. Um, and you can see we got the shark up here, it's having a swim. And you can see the people looking at it. Very, very beautiful. I do love this sharky shark. Sharky. And you can see someone put the brown trout shoal in the salt water, so that didn't work out quite well. There's a little bit of a better view at the circle windows, so very, very cool. And you can see they're not too happy. So this is a little bit about shoal work. So the shoal, you name the shoal and not the individuals. Bad salinity, adults, number of individuals 15. So yeah, you kind of work with that growth rate, welfare, dangerous salinity. So yeah, that kind of works out okay. Very very cool. And then you carry on. Let's see what else we can find. Yeah, those mats things, enrichment, all that, salt water. Really nice look at the shark. And then you got there, was mentioned. This is the filtration system. So as I mentioned, you got to manage it. You can't put a saltwater animal in a freshwater tank, stuff like that. That's kind of the basics. But this, I was a little bit worried that you'd have to have a big filtration system for each enclosure. But as you look in here, you can see this reminds me a lot of the power network in Jurassic World Evolution. So this is filtration network. So you have these, and it filters the water, and I guess you have to have, the more water you have in the system, the more you're going to upgrade these, which I think is really cool, because that is a thing in a lot of aquariums. Like the aquariums, Kelly Dalton's, where I worked at, we basically just had seawater and then pumped in a lot of filters. We're very lucky because it was right next to the ocean, but some are not quite as lucky because they're not right next to the ocean, so they have to actually put the salt in the water and manage that. Like Georgia Aquarium has to do that, because I believe Georgia is either landlocked or very close to being landlocked. At least the aquarium is. I'm not an expert on American geography, I'm afraid, but these really big aquariums, they tend to just have one big system that filters it all the water in the aquarium. Maybe some smaller ones, like if you've got freshwater, stuff like that, but if it's a big saltwater aquarium, they'll just have one big system for everything and maybe another one for quarantine, but the whole big system will sort out the water. And yeah, this is a great example. So you can see the current, so you can see brackish, you can kind of control the salinity there. I'd be cool if certain animals like salinity, especially with smaller aquariums. I think that added quite a bit of management to it. But yeah, ultimately, I think that with these big aquariums, that's just more of a basic thing. Because imagine having, if you wanted 20 or 30 different species and you got to manage the salinity between all of them, I think that's going to be difficult. But smaller aquariums, I hope that's a management aspect. Very much, you need. I'd say, like, if we would have envision a new system for exhibits, I would say, you need basking lights and thermal gradients and stuff like that to manage your animals in there. I could see that being the equivalent for mini aquariums or or whatever you want to call them, aquariums. So you can see that works very similar to, what was it? There we go. So yeah, it works very similar to Jurassic World Evolution in that way. So that it all filtrates and stuff like that. Very, very cool. And you can see happy, clean, happy. And you see this person running, and this is the reveal of the animal that was teased. This is a lionfish. So you can see the shoal is not dependent on size. These guys aren't really shoaling fish, so that makes sense. Get a really nice look at this aquarium that we've got here, and it's got the top on as well. I wonder if that top is the generated top or the one that was purpose-built. I think that'd be a very interesting concept as well. Very, very beautiful, cool little guy. Let's carry on. Yeah, and as you can see, all these tags and everything is just the same as an enclosure. You can decorate it however you like. And you've got these lights in here. So these lights are cool. Lights, and you can see aquarium. So suitable for animals. So the lights, I can imagine some lights would be maybe too harsh for animals or stuff like that, too bright. But you can change the light in these and give you a lot more customization. These lights, and you can see it kind of changes. So a lot more customization there, and you can see the colors too. So this was originally in the first Planet Zoo. They may let you change your colors and stuff like that, but in here, that is just absolutely amazing. Um, yeah. So yes, that is very very cool. I like that you can do that in Planet Zoo and stuff like that. Um, cool. We got Ida, yeah, so she's having a good time in there with the schooling bannerfish. Really, really cool little enrichment there. Very much a big fan of that. African tigerfish shoal, you can see that there. They're doing fine in there. Very, very cool. Then you've got here these tigerfish. Very, very cool. So these are in the, I believe this is actually in here. We've got in here, this is, oh, my thoughts are lost. So this is actually in the reserve. So this is the African reserve. You can see on the map here from the zoo, goes to Malawi or wherever, not Malawi. This is the Rift Valley Reserve, and you can see some of the shoalfish can actually be put in the reserves. So that's really, really cool. The tigerfish. I don't know about the hero fish. I guess we haven't seen anything like a African manatee or something like that. That would make sense in here, but I imagine the crocodiles can use it. So I haven't seen a crocodile in here as well, so I don't know how that works. That's going to be a very interesting thing to sort out. Which are very very cool. It's quite cool as well. But yeah, my curiosity though is with this, is there gonna be a kind of idea of the idea of them, sharing an enclosure? Because I've seen like in a lot of zoos. A great example is that there's a zoo in Miami. Oh, I think it was Miami or somewhere where they've got like the underwater tunnel and they've got a crocodile in there, obviously subaquatic animal. And then a lot of zoos that have hippo enclosures, they have like a really big, um, really big enclosure with a lot of fish in it and all that. So that's what I'm kind of thinking is how that works. So that's what I'm hoping that kind of you can do the mix of that. That's the only big question I really have. And this is another big question as well. Is this like an edible normal water? Or is this like a faux? Is this like a faux lake that you can't edit, or you have to make like a faux aquarium or something like that? How does it work? Can you just put the fish in normal water? So my guess is potentially yes. It's just we haven't seen, I haven't seen a Nile crocodile swimming with them. We just don't know. And here they talk about what we're going to do next, obviously, with these guys here. So next up, they're going to be talking about the aerial animals. So yeah, very, very cool. I am a big fan of, I just have more curious about how some things are going to work. But I am definitely a big fan of all this. Very, very cool. Very, very awesome. Happy with that. So yes. Next up, we're going to have a look at this. I thought I'd sneak this in too. So we've got I was going to cover this last week, but I was just a bit tired because I was really busy from work. Here we got the creature feature. This is the animal brain. So in the first of the series, we take a closer look at some of the unique new features coming to Planet Zoo. This week, we'll be digging into the animal brain system, how it works, and what new behaviors you can expect to see from Planet Zoo 2, for animals in Planet Zoo 2. So, heyo, zookeepers! Welcome to the first in a series of articles where we take a closer look at some of the unique new features coming to Planet Zoo 2. To get us started in style, this week we'll be digging in the new animal brain system for Planet Zoo, how it works, and what new behaviors you can expect to see from animals in Planet Zoo 2. Let's explore our first creature feature. So, what is in the animal brain? What is the animal brain? What is it? So, this seems like a way to really try and make animals more dynamic. From what I'm guessing is. So in Planet Zoo 2, the animal brain is a collection of systems that governs how animals behave across your zoos and wildlife reserves, resulting in amazingly natural interactions. So instead of being very rigid, a binary system, rigid, this is a lot more kind of flowing. So this is built on a structure of behavior that animals are based around 4 different types of actions, which we form together what's called the reactive brain. So this snazzy system groups all our animals' actions, or the actions our animals can take to enable them to seamlessly transition based on what's happening around them. So In terms of routines, so that's what animals normally do. We all have our routines. They gauge your normal behavior, so they'll go do the enrichment thing. They rest, they explore. They just do things as routines as you do. And then periodically, so what they do is animals react to environmental changes. So if it starts raining, they'll find shelter. In the wildlife reserves, I've reasoned that'd be a big issue because if you're doing it in your zoos, this is legal, but escaping predation. So if you're running, if you've got a pack of wolves and you've got a bison, and it's like, oh, I'm getting hunted, they're going to react to that. So they're reacting to changes in their environment, and they'll stop doing those routines and reject doing that as well. Distractions. So these animals react to stimuli, then change how they're performing their actions. So if they, example, will be joining a herd while exploring or completing a social call to a nearby peer while resting. So you're joining a herd while exploring. Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe it's doing a action and then, oh, there's my friend and to come do that. The chorus system from the old planets again, we have the Siamang and the wolves. That seems very similar to the bottom one there. And then also got interruptions. We've also kind of seen this a few times. So animals react to stimuli and stop their actions to do something else. So playing with another member of their species. So they might just get interrupted. But, oh, what am I going to play? Yeah, it's a lot more. It's less kind of like, how we all know the memes of they got to line up to do their social action in Jurassic World and Planet Zoo and stuff like that. I think they've kind of got rid of that now. So they play with each other or play with other member of their species. And waking up from sleep would disturb. We've seen that a couple times, like in the wholesome direct, when the baby wolf comes and bullies mum. It's like, oh, yes, I'm up. Or when the ball hits the tiger and the tiger wakes up because it's like, you woke me. So yeah, that's quite fun. So the system also considers how an animal is feeling at any particular time. If an animal is happy, scared, angry, sad, angry, or scared, this will impact how they're behaving. For example, a sad animal will complete different actions in a different manner than an animal which is in a happy state. So, if an animal's not good welfare, it's going to be like, And what's really cool, I'm really happy with this, is that moods are actually also visually identifiable, with an animal appearing different, such as depending on its mood. So a hot lion panting, so it'd be like, if it's in a high environment, too hot, and then angry tigers flattening their ears. So a lot of those ways, I really like that visual instead of looking at a menu. I think menus are important, but you should be looking more in a game like this. You should be looking more at the animals than your menus. So any way to do that visual storytelling, like if an animal's hurt, it should be limping. If an animal's got an enclosure that's too hot, it should be panting, or other ways to express, hey, this is not a good environment for me. And you could look at the animal and realize, okay, something's not right there, and know what's right. That's very much like real zookeeping, because I've done that and I do that. You've looked in the enclosure and then you notice, oh, something's off. That animal's doing something that's not, you notice it. That's how you zookeep. So I think that's something that should be represented in the game. And these moods can even impact the animals around them, such as a scared zebra alerting the rest of its herd to danger. So obviously that's going to work more in wildlife reserves, but still I know a lot of people have been wanting those wildlife reserves because a lot of people just make a big thing in their zoos and just do the thing. So that works out quite well. To support the animal brain, animals in Planet Zoo 2 respond to a wide variety of stimuli, including everything from the time of day and weather to the presence of predators and the current season. So, yeah, they respond to the environment dynamically, which is cool. And this can be especially impactful for the courting and breeding behaviors of animals as they move through any seasonal fertility. Animals that also behave differently in the wild compared to within a zoo as they react to the very different stimuli and circumstances. And in short, the animal brain gives, the animals and planets a huge reactivity, resulting in even more of your discovery as you care for your zoos and wildlife reserves. So that's not all, though. But yeah, that makes sense. Very, very cool. Animal formations. So formations are a new feature for Planet Zoo 2, acting as a layer on top of those animal brain, enabling animals to act as a unified group. So when multiple animals of the same species are close together, they can form a formation with their peers. Different types of formations can be formed depending on animals and their circumstances. That includes groups for migrating, especially, the group of wildebeest, you've already seen that. I think that's a very cool thing that they can do there. form the formation of their migration, the big herd. Defending, so imagine buffalo huddling together to defend themselves. Or the muskox doing the classic round thing. Fleeing, also they all run together in neutral situations, so they might just be herding. The shape, size, and densities of these formations depends on its type and its species. For example, a bison may form a defensive ring against a nearby predator, while migrating zebras may form a line formation with a male at the rear. So that's really cool as well. That's more natural herding and animal behavior. So I think that's really, really cool. Animals in a formation will compare their individual animal brains and routine behaviors, which determine which behaviors the group wants to do as a whole. So, depending on the sociability of a given species, animals are more or less likely to perform this formation level behavior and choose another individual routine behavior. So I think that's really cool as well. For example, you'll actually likely spot zebras and wildebeest all grazing together, while giraffes may more often do their own thing while staying within the vicinity of the herd, which I think creates a very dynamic sort of habitat, interactions between different species. So you could have multiple animals sort of herding and hanging out together. So I think that's really cool, especially in that wildlife formation. This definitely leans more to wildlife reserves. But obviously, if you've got a big safari enclosure, you can see this too. So I really like this. This is definitely something that benefits the animals, making them more dynamic and alive. So that's what we want. We want these animals to feel alive. So I'm very, very impressed. And different animals having different ideas as well. And the members of these formations then essentially vote on what action they want to take, such as resting, exploring, or grazing together. And this allows social animals to, well, behave socially. So that's quite cool there. Formations are another layer to the Planet Zoo's animals, enabling them to depict an even more authentic behaviors that you expect to see in the natural world, particularly for social animals. So it gives another aspect there. And then we've got here emergent behavior. So this is the greatest consequence of all the work tinkering with the animal brain is a huge improvement to the kinds of emergent unplanned behavior that animals of Planet Zoo 2 will exhibit. So that's very cool. In the original Planet Zoo, animals would perform the same limited range of actions consistently. I'm sure you guys have seen it when I've done my reviews or anything like that, my mod spotlights. They kind of just walk around and then they sleep, get up, run to the food bowl, run to the water bowl, walk around, play with enrichment. That's kind of what they do. That's all they do. But now in Planet Zoo 2, there's actually a huge range of actions which can be completed in different ways depending on their circumstances and the environments around them. So now a playful chimp can knock an enrichment item into a sleeping troop member and wake them up. So that's kind of like a, emergent behavior, something that happens that happens in zoos all the time. That's part of the fun of watching animals doing goofy stuff. Or a lion can get angry if you remove their favorite scratching post right when they're about to use it. So I think that's quite fun. Animals reacting to you and, the choices you make and, being reactionary. I think that's very cool. And it's something that's it's unheard of in games. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out. Not only do these new emergent behaviors create exciting and believable interactions for you to discover, they can also have a direct impact on how your zoos and wildlife reserves are managed, requiring you to adjust to the unexpected and maintain the welfare of your animals. So your actions will directly impact the mood and behavior of your animals, so it's up to you to keep them as happy as possible. So very cool. I like that. The animal brain is just one of the ways Planet Zoo 2 is delivering the most authentic depiction of wild and zoo animals to date, bringing a generational leap forward in animal simulation to screens in October. So if these systems all come together to create animals, zoos, and wildlife reserves that are truly alive like never before. We'll be back soon to take a dip and dive to another of the features, and that's going on to the aquatics there. So I have to say, very, very cool. I am very happy with everything's coming out so far. I know a lot of people just have questions. I do hope there's a little bit more management in terms of smaller. I'm assuming there's going to be smaller aquariums, because there's some pretty small fish, like the blindhead cichlid. That's a very small fish. Smaller fish and some updates to exhibits. That's my biggest question: is what they're doing with exhibits. Are they going to keep them the same? Are they going to change them? But yeah, the only really other major question I have personally is what's going on, obviously, with exhibits and zoo vehicles, because that's I think a big one, especially if we're doing wildlife reserves. But what's going on with what's the level of things in here? What can we do with? How much do these mix? How much can an aquarium mix with a terrestrial and habitats. So do we have to have these filters for a a saltwater crocodile tank or saltwater crocodile exhibit or a hippo exhibit? And can we have fish in that exhibit? Can we just make a pond and then put fish in it, kind of thing? Or do we have to have these aquariums? My guess it's the latter, that we can just plop, because we can see there's no aquariums in the wild, in the wildlife reserve. So that's my guess, that you just plop it in there. But yeah, we just haven't seen a hippo and a cichlid in the same habitat yet. Well, I think it's possible. My guess from this, it seems impossible, because the aquariums, they just fill up naturally. I guess you can dig the water as well. It just yeah, we'll have to see about that. But my guess is that you can just do it naturally, and then the hero species can kind of go and do their own thing. So yeah, that's my guess. You could just have them. But yeah, those are my questions. But very easy to fix. Just show a hippo and a cichlid in the same thing. But other than that, yeah, really good. I'm really happy with how this is turning out. I love all the emergent behavior and all the stuff with the filtration and stuff like that. I'm very, very impressed with how they're doing aquariums. I think they're nailing it. That's the only question I have, but the tunnels and stuff like that, I've been asking for that for years. The slide little tease of the zebra shark, I think that's really cool. Hopefully we get to see some kestrel tanks. I've kind of gone over that, but yeah, really, really awesome. So yeah, I really, really, really hope. I'm just gonna go to a nice view. So yeah, I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys like and subscribe. Always remember to hit the little bell icon to get notified about anything. So if you guys enjoyed this video, hope you guys like and subscribe, and bye-bye.